The 18th of July 1944, 10:32 hours. Southern Germany, near Augsburg. The sound does not belong in the sky. It arrives too fast, too sharp, a tearing scream that cuts through the steady drone of piston engines like a blade through cloth. American bomber crews look up instinctively, hands tightening on controls, eyes searching for something they have never seen before. Then it flashes past them. Gray, sleek, unbelievably fast. A Messerschmitt Me 262. For a split second, it seems unreal, an illusion born of fatigue and altitude. Then its cannons fire. AB-17 erupts in flame, breaking apart midday. Debris spins away, trailing smoke and men who never had time to scream. The jet vanishes as suddenly as it appeared, leaving confusion in its wake. Inside one bomber cockpit, a co-pilot stares at the empty sky. "What the hell was that?" he whispers. No one answers, because no one has an answer yet. The Me 262 pilot exhales hard as he streaks away from the formation. The aircraft responds instantly, surging forward with a smoothness no piston fighter could match. The speed is intoxicating, terrifying. This is what the future feels like. But the pilot's eyes flick down to his instrument panel. Fuel, already dropping faster than it should. He checks again, then again. 30 minutes. That is all he has. 30 minutes to change the war. Lechfeld Air Base. Minutes earlier. Floodlights cut through early morning haze as ground crews scramble across the runway. Boots pound against concrete scarred by bomb craters hastily filled with gravel and asphalt. Mechanics shout warnings, wave arms, pull away hoses. The jets wait. Sharp noses. Twin engines. Unfamiliar silhouettes that look more like weapons than aircraft. Messerschmitt Me 262 Schwab, the world's first operational jet fighter, years ahead of anything the Allies possess. Pilots climb into cockpits with stiff, deliberate movements. These men are not elite aces with hundreds of hours on the type. Some have fewer than 10 combat flights in the aircraft. Training manuals are incomplete. Tactics are improvised. And fuel is rationed like medicine. One pilot rubs his eyes before pulling on his helmet. He hasn't slept properly in days. Another mutters a prayer under his breath, not for survival, but for ignition. Engines howl to life. Not a roar, a scream. The air itself seems to rip apart as heat shimmers behind the exhausts. Ground crews flinch, cover their ears. This sound is different. It doesn't belong to the war they know. This is Germany's miracle. Its last card, back in the sky. The Me 262 pilot banks hard, the jet responding instantly. Below him, the bomber formation struggles to adjust. They are not built to fight something this fast. For a moment, just one, it works. He lines up another pass. Cannons fire again. Another bomber disintegrates. The sky fills with smoke, debris, falling metal. Then warning lights flicker. Fuel pressure. The pilot swears quietly. This aircraft can outrun anything in the sky, but it cannot outrun time. Behind him, American P-51 Mustangs begin to tone. They are slower, but they are many, and they are patient. The jet pilot pushes the throttle anyway. There is no other choice. Berlin. Same day. Inside a command bunker, officers listen to reports with clenched jaws. The Me 262 has proven itself again. Enemy bombers destroyed. Pilots shaken. The future confirmed, but the numbers do not change. Fuel stockpiles are shrinking. Synthetic production has been bombed repeatedly. Airfields are created faster than they can be repaired. Trained pilots are dead, or flying aircraft they barely understand. A general taps a pencil against a map. This aircraft could change everything, he says. No one argues, but no one smiles either, because everyone in the room understands what is not being said. A weapon does not fight a war alone. Lechfeld Air Base. Afternoon. The jet pilot lands hard, tires screeching as he fights to keep the aircraft straight on a damaged runway. Ground crews rush forward, hands raised, guiding him in. He cuts the engines. Silence crashes down around him. His hands shake as he removes his helmet. How long? A mechanic asks. The pilot looks at the fuel gauge again. 2 minutes, he says. 2 minutes from falling out of the sky. 2 minutes from death. He climbs down from the cockpit, legs unsteady. The aircraft stands there, perfect, untouched. Deadly and useless without fuel. Across Germany, more jets wait, hidden in forests, parked beneath camouflage nets, stored in underground hangars carved into mountains. Dozens, hundreds, on paper. But paper does not fly. Fuel does. Pilots do. Runways do. And Germany is running out of all three. Back over southern Germany, Allied bombers continue toward their targets. Some are missing now. Some crews are dead. But the formation holds. The factories burn. The rail lines shatter. The fuel never arrives. And somewhere above it all, the future flashes past, too fast to catch, too fragile to sustain. The jet age has arrived, but the war it was meant to win is already bleeding out. Late summer 1944. Western Germany. Forward airfields. The future keeps landing in the wrong places. Runways cratered by yesterday's bombing raids stretch ahead like broken teeth. Engineers work through the night, filling holes with rubble and hope, knowing Allied reconnaissance aircraft will return by morning. Me-262 sit at the edges of forests, hidden beneath camouflage nets that sag under rain and dust. From a distance, they look protected. Up close, they look stranded. A Staffel captain walks the line, counting aircraft with a pencil pressed hard against a clipboard. 12 jets assigned, 6 operational, 2 fueled, 1 pilot available. He stops writing, because the numbers no longer matter. Fuel trucks arrive late, half empty. Again, synthetic fuel plants at Luna, Politz, and Bletchem burn relentlessly under Allied bombing. Coal deliveries are interrupted. Rail lines are cut faster than they can be repaired. What fuel does arrive is contaminated, low quality, inconsistent. Jet engines do not forgive mistakes. One pilot watches as a mechanic drains fuel from his aircraft, shaking his head. Too dirty, the mechanic mutters. You'd flame out before the end of the runway. The pilot nods. He doesn't argue. He's seen it happen. Inside the cockpit, the Me-262 is unforgiving. Throttle response is delayed. Push too fast and the engines surge, then die. Recovering from a flame-out at low altitude is almost impossible. Training manuals warn against rapid movements. Training manuals that most pilots have barely read, because there was no time. Young Luftwaffe pilots, some barely 20, are transitioned directly from Bf-109s and Fw-190s into jet fighters that behave like nothing they've ever flown. Experienced instructors are gone. Many died early in the war. One pilot remembers his briefing. Treat the throttle like glass, they told him. He remembers thinking, glass breaks. Augsburg. Morning. And Me-262 roars down the runway. Too fast. Too eager. The pilot advances the throttle instinctively, just a fraction too quickly. The engine coughs. Flames lick backward. The jet swirls violently. By the time the pilot reacts, it's over. The aircraft skids into the grass and explodes in a violent white flash, debris scattering across the airfield. Fire crews rush forward, already knowing there will be nothing to save. One more aircraft gone. One more pilot. Not shot down. Wasted. Berlin. Luftwaffe High Command. Reports pile up. Enemy bombers destroyed. Engines failing. Pilots lost on takeoff. Aircraft grounded for lack of fuel. The contradiction is unbearable. The Me-262 is lethal in combat, and lethal on the ground. A senior officer finally speaks what others avoid. We built an aircraft faster than our ability to support it. No one disagrees, because speed does not move fuel trains. Speed does not train pilots. Speed does not repair bombed runways. Speed demands stability. Germany has none. Back in the air. When Me-262s do reach Allied formations, the results are undeniable. Bomber crews panic. Formations break. Escort fighters struggle to keep pace. For a moment, Allied planners worry. Then they adapt. Mustangs begin circling known jet bases instead of escorting bombers. They wait, patiently, for Me-262s during takeoff and landing, when jets are slow, vulnerable, and predictable. One American pilot radios calmly, "Jets taking off below. We'll handle it." And they do. The future is shot down in its weakest moment. Late 1944. The Me-262 is no longer a miracle. It is a symptom. A machine designed for a war Germany can no longer afford to fight. Each sortie becomes more desperate. Each success costs more than it delivers. The jet destroys bombers, but cannot stop the bombing. It frightens pilots, but cannot protect factories. The realization spreads quietly through the Luftwaffe. They have outrun their own logistics. They have built tomorrow without the means to survive today. And the war does not slow down to admire innovation. It keeps grinding forward. Early 1945. Germany's shrinking airspace. The sky belongs to someone else now. Allied fighters roam freely above shattered rail yards and burning refineries, circling like sentries. The Me-262 still exists, but only in flashes. Brief, violent appearances followed by long silences. The future no longer arrives in formations. It arrives alone. At an improvised airstrip carved out of farmland, a Me-262 sits at the edge of the runway, engines idling unevenly. The pilot's gloved hands rest lightly on the throttle. Too lightly, according to instinct. He forces himself to slow down. Glass, he reminds himself. Treat it like glass. A mechanic leans in close, shouting over the whine of turbines. You flame out, you don't get another chance. The pilot nods without looking at him. He already knows. Fuel for this sortie has been siphoned from 3 different sources. The mixture is questionable. The runway is patched. The weather is wrong. Everything about this flight says don't go. But the bombers are coming. They always are. Above central Germany. The Me-262 climbs with difficulty, engine straining as it pushes through thin cloud. The pilot levels out and scans the sky. There, a bomber stream. He advances the throttle carefully. The jet surges forward, speed building rapidly. The distance collapses faster than his eyes can process. For a few seconds, the advantage is absolute. He fires. Cannons rip through aluminum and flesh. A bomber disintegrates. Another trails smoke, falling out of formation. Then the jet screams past, already too fast to stay. There is no dogfight. There is no second pass. Only velocity. The pilot pulls away, heart racing, not with triumph, but calculation. Fuel again. Always fuel. Behind him, Mustangs peel away from a bomber stream. They do not chase in desperation. They wait. They know where he has to go. On the ground. At the airfield, ground crews watch the horizon anxiously. One man shades his eyes, scanning for the familiar silhouette. Then they hear it. The high-pitched scream of turbines on approach. Relief flickers. Then fear. American fighters appear first, low, fast, lethal. They rake the runway with gunfire, tearing through fuel trucks, scattering men. The Me-262 comes in hot, engine spooling down dangerously slowly. The pilot fights at controls, trying to keep the aircraft straight as bullets snap past the canopy. He touches down. Too fast. The jet bounces once. Twice. Then the runway disappears in smoke and fire. The aircraft slews sideways, slamming into the grass. The pilot barely has time to unbuckle before flames engulf the fuselage. Another jet lost. Another pilot gone. Not to enemy superiority. To timing. Berlin. Luftwaffe headquarters. Maps are replaced faster than they can be updated. Reports blur together. Successes and failures indistinguishable in their consequences. The Me-262 has destroyed hundreds of Allied aircraft. It has changed nothing. Factories continue to burn. Fuel production collapses further. Replacement pilots arrive with barely enough hours to land safely, let alone fight. A senior officer finally voices what has been circling the room for months. We are winning battles we can't afford. No one contradicts him, because everyone knows what follows. Innovation has a price. Germany paid it too early. Spring 1945. Jets sit under trees now. Hidden. Idle. Perfect machines waiting for fuel that will never come. Some pilots are reassigned to piston aircraft they flew years ago. Others are handed rifles and sent to defend cities from advancing armor. The future is dismantled piece by piece. Engines are stripped for parts. Airframes are abandoned. Manuals are burned. Not out of secrecy. Out of irrelevance. Allied intelligence intercepts the pattern quickly. They stop fearing the Me-262. They start managing it. Bomb airfields. Crater runways. Destroy fuel plants. Force the jet to fight on the ground, where speed means nothing. The strategy works. The future is neutralized without ever being matched. A Luftwaffe pilot writes in his journal, "We were too fast for the war we were in. We needed a different one." He never flies a jet again. Few do. By April, the Me-262 is no longer spoken of as a weapon. It is spoken of as a warning. Speed without supply is a gamble. Innovation without infrastructure is a liability. Being first means nothing if you arrive alone. The jet age was born in combat, but combat was not ready for it, and Germany was already bleeding out. The final realization settles in quietly. The future did not fail Germany. Germany failed to survive long enough to use it. The 8th of May 1945, 23:01 hours. Central Europe. The guns fall silent, not in celebration, not in triumph, in exhaustion. Men remain crouched in trenches long after the final reports come through, waiting for the sound they have learned to fear. Smoke drifts where artillery once spoke. Fires still burn in cities that no longer matter strategically, but no one feeds them now. Germany has surrendered, and scattered across the country, the future sits quietly. Forests and airfields across Bavaria. Messerschmitt Me 262s rest beneath camouflage nets. Their fuselage is smooth, unscarred, engines cold. Aircraft that could outrun anything in the sky sit untouched, because speed no longer matters. Fuel is gone. Pilots are gone. Runways are gone. The jet age exists without a war. Captured airfields. Days later, Allied soldiers walk carefully around unfamiliar machines, rifles slung low. They circle the Me-262 slowly, cautiously, like men approaching something that should not exist yet. One American officer runs his hand along the intake. "Hell of a thing," he mutters. Engineers photograph everything. Measurements are taken. Engines are removed piece by piece. The war is over. The examination begins. Allied intelligence facilities. Weeks later, tables are covered in blueprints. Jet engines stripped bare. Technical drawings studied in silence. They see it immediately. Germany was right. The concept works. The speed is real. But the context was wrong. Jet aircraft demand fuel stability. Precision manufacturing. Time for pilots to adapt. Germany had none of these by 1944. History moves fast. Within a few years, jet fighters dominate the skies. Not because they are faster, but because the systems supporting them are ready. Training pipelines exist. Fuel flows. Airfields are defended. The jet age reshapes warfare. Just not for the nation that birthed it. Back in Germany, former Me-262 pilots return home on foot, by train, or not at all. Their aircraft are scrapped or shipped overseas. Their brief moment at the edge of history fades quietly. No victory parades. No recognition. Only the knowledge that they flew the future too soon. And that is the final truth. Germany did not lose a war because the Me-262 failed. It lost because speed alone cannot win a war of endurance. Innovation demands stability. Brilliance demands supply. The future demands time. Germany built it first, and could not hold the present long enough to use it.